Welcome to week 2 of Yoga for Anxiety Relief. And in this session today, we'll be exploring some low lunges as well as some lateral side stretches. And towards the end of class, we'll be getting into some really relieving breath work. At least I find it relieving. You may or may not like it, but we'll definitely have that option to explore. The breath work is called Chandra Bedhana, and that translates into moon piercing breath because it is very relaxing typically. And so I'm excited to show it to you, and I invite you to start here in a seated shape. And if being in a seated shape is not something you want to do right now, that's absolutely okay. You can choose any other shape that you want to get started in. And this whole series of Yoga for Anxiety Relief, we're really focusing the first half of class on discharging the nervous system. So there will be moments and opportunities to use our muscles a bit more than we might typically. And this is for the purpose of allowing our nervous system to kind of burn up, use up some of the charge, so to speak, so that we can start shifting into a parasympathetic nervous system state, starting to down regulate and find some rest. So with that, you might be sitting here in a cross-legged shape with me, or maybe your legs are outstretched, or perhaps you choose a completely different shape. So wherever you're at, I welcome you to find your way there. And you might decide to leave your eyes open, or you might decide to take them closed. And as we arrive to our practice, I welcome you to scan through the body, noticing how your physical body feels in this moment. So you might check in with your muscles, noticing which ones are feeling perhaps softened or relaxed. Maybe there's some muscles that are feeling tense and tight. You might even feel where you are touching whatever is supporting you. So if you are sitting on the floor, you might feel the mat beneath you. Or if you're in a different shape, you might feel the mat or blanket, whatever is beneath you, supporting any other part of your body that is touching that surface. And when you're ready, you might begin to shift your awareness to your breath. And you don't have to do anything to alter the pace of your breath or even how you're breathing. You're simply just noticing it, just noticing that you are breathing. And if when you shift your focus to your breath, you naturally feel the urge to take a sigh or a deep breath in or a yawn, you can just go with it, allowing your body to regulate however it sees fit. And with your next breath in or out, if you're ready, you might shift your awareness to your headspace, to your mind. And you don't have to stop yourself from thinking. But if you'd like to, you could simply become aware of the pace of your thoughts. So noticing, are they moving really quickly? Are they moving really slowly? Or are they kind of moving at this even pace? And there's no right or wrong. We're simply noticing, what pace is my mind moving at this moment? And finally, if you'd like to join me by taking a deeper breath in through the nose and out of the mouth, dropping down into our heart space, noticing perhaps how you feel emotionally in this moment. Maybe asking your heart, how do you feel today? How do you feel right now? Being here with your heart, without judgment, for the next 2 rounds of breath. Last one. And after your last exhale, or when you decide that you're ready to, you might begin to inhale the shoulders up towards the ears and exhale them down, perhaps rolling them back. Noticing how your shoulders, your jaw might feel, if your neck is feeling a little bit stiff or tight. Taking any intuitive movements here that feel welcome to your body. Allowing it to be and look like whatever it is. There's no right or wrong. We'll be here in intuitive movement for the next 2 breaths, or as long as you like. And when you feel satisfied, you might meet me back here at center. And I offer you the community fill in the blank intention. And for today's class, it is, I am free to fill in the blank. What are you free to be or to do? What are you free to be or to do in this moment right now? It might be, I am free to choose. I am free to be. I am free to feel. You decide. And whenever you have your intention, whether it's this one, the community intention you're working with, or a completely different intention, I welcome you to take a deep breath into it and an exhale out, committing it to your mind and your heart for this practice. And as you're ready, you might choose to place your hands on your knees or the tops of your legs as we begin to find our way into this rocking, seated cat-cow. You might begin to inhale and draw your heart space and your abdomen forward, maybe even rolling your shoulders back. And as you exhale, you could explore curling the spine back, maybe even tucking the tailbone and the chin in toward one another just a little bit if it feels supportive to you. And if it doesn't, you don't have to. So moving at your own pace, moving in a way that feels accessible, relieving, welcome. This is one option. Another option to explore is torso circles. So you might begin moving in one direction, and these torso circles can be really big or they can be really small. You choose. They can be fast, they can be slow, they can be whatever you need. And if you're moving in circles, at any point you might decide to change the direction, moving in the opposite direction. And as we move for the next 2 or 3 rounds of breath, I invite you to notice your spine, the muscles around your spine. Observing how it feels to move in a circular or a rocking motion. Noticing any sensations around your spine that might be present. And we'll finish up with one last round of breath. Inhale and exhale when you're ready. And when you feel complete, I'll meet you at center, pausing for a moment to observe any sensations in your spine. Maybe even down your legs and into your feet or your fingertips. In your own timing, you might open your eyes if they aren't already open, and we'll start to move into a tabletop shape. So if you'd like to meet me there, you can. And if you'd like a little bit of cushion underneath your knees, you might place a blanket underneath your knees. And as always, you can use a second blanket to drape over your hips and low back if that feels more safe and supportive for your practice today. So once we come into a tabletop, you might extend your legs out behind you one at a time, maybe taking some ankle rolls. Especially if you were sitting cross-legged, you might like a little bit of movement for blood circulation. And we'll begin to take some Tibetan sun salutations. And I'm gonna show you 2 different ways to do them. They're really similar, just there's one option that if you'd like to take a more engaged and active approach, then there will be a choice for that. So from tabletop shape, you might place your knees hip distance apart, perhaps right underneath your hips, with our ankles parallel to one another. And when you're ready, you could shift the hips back to rest over your heels. And so normally in a child's shape, we would touch our toes, but this time it might be easier because we're only going to be here for a moment to just keep the legs parallel However, if that doesn't feel welcome to your body, you don't have to. So here in our modified child shape, I welcome you to take a breath in and out at your own pace. And when you're ready, inhaling, lifting the gaze, and shifting yourself forward into your tabletop shape. Good. With your next breath, you might take your right foot and draw it up to the outside of your right hand, finding a low lunge here. You could have your blocks nearby, or if you'd like, you could inhale and lift your arms, right overhead, coming into a nice tall low lunge. So you could choose to keep your hands grounded either on the blocks or on the floor, or you could choose to find links. There's no right or wrong. It's whatever you feel led to do. It's whatever you feel free to do in this moment. Breathing in here. And as you exhale, you might start to bring your hands back down to the blocks or the floor. An option here to lengthen through the front leg, coming into a half splits. Maybe you even draw your blocks back with you. Perhaps you even allow the right toes to lift up off of the mat, keeping the heel grounded for stability. Inhaling and shifting yourself forward back into your low lunge when you decide you're ready for it. You might even plant the hands and send the right foot back. Coming back into our modified Balasana, child's shape. So this is option 1. We'll do the other side and then I'll give you option 2. So if you're ready, you could inhale and shift yourself forward into tabletop. And with your exhale, you might switch legs and draw your left leg up, finding a low lunge. Again, option here for blocks or to leave your hands on the floor. Or you might inhale and find some length. Exhaling here. And inhaling when you're ready. Option to exhale the hands down, either to blocks or the floor, and lengthen through your left leg, finding a half splits here. One breath. And an inhale to shift yourself back forward. Hands can come down to the earth. And an exhale to send the left foot back. Maybe you revisit this modified child shape. So as we continue moving, please move at your own pace, adding or removing anything that you feel drawn to add or remove. And for these next few rounds, there's an opportunity to take 3 more rounds of this. And I'm going to show the second option now. So it's the exact same thing, except for if you would like a little bit more muscle engagement, maybe you're feeling like you really want to burn up and use up some excess energy, then instead of our modified child shape, you would find a plank. So that could look like engaging and hovering the knees up off of the mat, or you could find a modified low plank. And this is different than a tabletop in the sense that the knees are further back underneath, or not underneath the hips. So I'll show you this one from here. So whether you're in child shape or plank, I invite you to take a breath in. If you're in child shape, you would shift yourself forward into tabletop. With an exhale, wherever you're at, you could draw the right foot forward, planting it on the floor, and releasing the left knee for a low lunge. Option to stay here, or option to inhale and lengthen up towards the sky. Exhale. and inhale. Option to take the half splits if you'd like to. Exhaling the hands down, maybe grabbing your blocks, maybe just resting your hands on the floor. Either one works. And you can stay here as long as you like, or when you're ready, you might start to inhale and come back forward into your low lunge, bracing your hands on the floor and sending your right foot back. If you choose plank option here, you can return back into a plank and maybe lower down into a child's shape. And we'll take the other side. Inhale, if you're in child's shape, you'll start to rock yourself forward. Option for plank here, option for tabletop. When you're ready, you could draw the left foot forward. Maybe you release your right knee to the floor if you haven't already for low lunge. Inhaling, maybe you lengthen up towards the sky. Perhaps you keep the hands grounded. Taking a breath here. Taking up space. And with your exhale, or when you decide to, you could bring the hands back down to the earth. Option for plank or no plank, when you send your left foot back. And then when you're ready for it, you could find your balasana, your modified child shape. Great. I welcome you to move through that sequence with me one more time on each side. So right side and then left side. However, you can move at your own pace. You can take or leave whatever you do or do not want. So in your own timing, inhaling and shifting yourself forward. Maybe you find a plank, maybe you don't. High or low. Exhale. Your right foot could come forward, finding a low lunge. Perhaps you find some length. Inhaling the arms up overhead and taking a breath here. Noticing the length happening in your left quad, your left hip. And with your next exhale, you might begin to lower the hands down if you have them lifted. And option here for your half splits as you lengthen through the right leg. And option to stay here for an extra breath or two. Maybe you find stillness. Maybe you find movement, rocking in and out of it. What does your body need right now? What do you prefer? As we take one last round of breath here. And if you'd like, with your next inhale, you could lunge back into your right knee. Plant your hands on the floor. And then option to send the right foot back, either taking a plank or no plank. And then I'll meet you in our balasana, child shape. We'll take it on the left side, last round. Inhaling forward, option for high or low plank or tabletop. And exhale to bring your left foot forward. Low lunge. If you'd like, you could find some length. Reaching the spine up towards the sky, along with the hands. Or you could choose a different hand placement. Maybe hands at heart center if you prefer. Noticing your right quad. Can you feel the length or maybe engagement? What is that sensation that you're feeling? Maybe an opening sensation through the right hip or the right quad, or perhaps something else. In your own timing, you could exhale the hands down towards the earth or blocks. Option 2, lengthen through the left leg, finding a half splits. And again, you could rock in and out of it, or you could stay in stillness. You choose. Observing any sensations in the back of your left leg. Last round of breath here. And when you decide to leave this shape, you could start to rock forward, coming back into your low lunge, planting the hands on the floor and sending the left foot back. And you have the choice here. You might find a high or a low plank, or you might shift back into child shape whenever you're ready. Taking a pause here, taking a breath. Noticing how you feel. And perhaps even bringing to mind the intention you set for yourself at the beginning of class. I am free to. What are you free to do or be right now in this moment? And I welcome you to be here in our child shape for another few moments as we find a shape here. And so if you need to adjust your child's shape, you can. I'm going to choose to take a wider child shape, and the back of my toes are touching. And again, option here to take a separate blanket and drape it over your lower back. Maybe even crisscross it over your legs. And this can provide a sense of support and safety if you want to explore it. So here in our child shape, I invite you to inhale and look up at the hands. And as the bottom half of your body stays here nice and grounded, you might begin to take your hands and walk them out over toward the left. And then option 2, release your forehead towards the earth, or if you prefer, you might keep your gaze lifted, maybe looking toward your hands or at the floor, whichever one feels most comfortable for your neck. And as we're here in this lateral side stretch, I welcome you to bring some awareness into your right ribs, your right side body. Perhaps even sending some inhales to your right lung specifically. Noticing what you feel when you breathe into your right lung. What happens to the muscles on the right side of your body. Noticing what you feel as you exhale. Last round of breath here. And you might choose to stay here longer if this shape is still feeling welcome, or if you'd like, you could lift the head to look at the hands and walk them back to center. Pausing in between for a moment to observe How does the right side of your body feel? Your right ribs, your right arm compared to the left side? And if you're ready for the next side, you could inhale and take your gaze up to look at your hands. And beginning to walk your hands out to the right only as much as you want to. So this can be a lot or this can be a little bit. You decide where you go in this shape, or if you come into this shape at all. You might decide to stay at center and enjoy being in your version of child's shape. You might observe here if there's any difference in the sensations in the left side of your body, the left ribs, the left lung area, and the muscles surrounding this area compared to what you felt on your right side. Or it might be the same, it might be really similar. But whatever you're feeling, for the next 2 rounds of breath, might you bring your awareness to your left lung as you breathe in and out. Noticing the difference of sensations as your breath moves your body. So even as the rest of our body is in stillness, our breath continues to move. And after your second breath, you might decide to lift your head and look at your hands and walk your hands back to center. And then option to walk your hands back toward you, coming into a seated shape. And taking just a moment here. I invite you to find any seated shape that feels welcome to your body. I'm gonna fold up my other blanket and sit on it. So that's an option you might explore. And you might choose to have your legs crossed. However, you don't have to. You could also explore extending your legs out in front of you, or even coming into a butterfly shape with the soles of your feet touching. It's completely up to you. What feels supportive in your body in this moment? So taking a moment to decide how you would like to sit. Drawing your awareness inward and bringing to mind our community intention, our fill in the blank intention. I am free to fill in the blank. What are you free to do or to be in this moment right now? Taking a breath into your intention if you would like to. And taking your right hand and just bringing the back of the hand to the bottom base of your lower back. And if this doesn't feel welcome on your shoulder, you can just release it and rest your hand wherever it does feel supportive and accessible. But if it feels okay for your shoulder, you might just swim your right hand back, bringing the back of the right hand to your lower back. Maybe even bringing some awareness into your right shoulder and perhaps even finding a rolling action back as you just gently coax the right shoulder open just a little bit. And with your next inhale, option 2, find some length in your spine, maybe even imagining that your spine is floating up and each one of your vertebrae is finding some length as you float up towards the sky. And if you'd like, you could stay right here, or you might decide to take your left ear and allow it to settle down toward your left shoulder. Bringing some awareness to the right side of your neck and perhaps even the right jaw. Noticing if there's any clenching in the jaw, and if so, is it safe to soften the jaw just a little bit? Noticing what it might feel like to release some of those muscles. And we'll take another 2 rounds of breath here. And if you'd like to stay here longer, you can. And if you're ready to leave this shape, you might begin to inhale and bring your head back to center. And if your right hand is reaching around, you might just draw it back, resting the hands on your lap or wherever it feels right. And observing just for a moment any differences or any sensation changes you might observe in the right side of your neck and your right shoulder compared to your left. You might even feel a little bit unbalanced, like maybe one shoulder is higher than another. So let's go ahead and even it out. If you would like to take the left hand and swim it back, you can, bringing the back of the left hand to the base of your lower back and spine, and perhaps even coaxing the left shoulder back a little bit. Maybe even finding this rolling action just gently. It doesn't have to be a lot of effort. It doesn't have to be a big action. It can just be a little bit. It can be 10%, 20%. And with your breath in, perhaps you find that floating sensation of your spine making its way up. And you could stay right here, or you could explore taking the right ear toward the right shoulder. And you might automatically notice a difference in sensations. Maybe your left side feels much more open in the muscles compared to your right side did, or maybe it's the reverse. And if so, can you be here with the sensation in the left side of your neck, perhaps even your left shoulder? Maybe even sending some breaths into these muscles. Noticing the jaw. Is there any muscle tension here that perhaps they feel safe enough to release, to soften, as we explore this shape for 2 more rounds of breath? When you're ready, you could start to bring your head back to center and unravel your left arm. Perhaps even taking some shoulder rolls if it feels welcome. Maybe both at the same time or one at a time. Option to move into your neck or anywhere else that feels supportive. And as you begin to find completion with your intuitive movement, I'll meet you back here at stillness. And I invite you to explore a seated twist with me. So coming back to our spacious spine, maybe even like imagining and breathing in that you are floating up and extending out of your seat. And noticing if the shoulders come up with you, and if so, is it possible to allow the shoulders to soften away from the ears? With your next inhale, you might explore breathing the arms up, reaching them towards the sky. And exhale, you could twist over to the right if you are not pregnant, perhaps placing your left hand on your right knee and your right hand either to your lower back or maybe bracing on the floor or blankets beneath you, whatever feels stable. And if you are pregnant, you might simply stay at center and notice your breath moving in and out. And if you're in the twist, your gaze can be forward, or if you'd like, you could take your gaze to look over your right shoulder. Breathing in and out for 2 more rounds of breath. And after your second round of breath, if you'd like to release this twist, you might start to unravel, coming back to center, and pausing here before we rush to the next side. What do we feel? What do you notice? And if you're ready for the next side, inhaling the spine and the arms up. And an exhale, arms can come down to a T as we twist to the left. Your right hand can come to your left knee or leg, and your left hand can reach back behind you to stabilize itself on anything that feels accessible. So your lower back, your blanket, your mat, the floor, whatever works. And perhaps your gaze just looks forward. Or if you'd like, you could ease the gaze to look toward the left, although you don't have to. Two more breaths here. When you're ready to release, you can slowly come back to center. Okay. If you've been sitting cross-legged for a moment, it might feel like you need to stretch out your legs, and if so, go ahead and do so. I know I need to. I need a little bit of blood circulation. And we'll prepare to come into our breath practice. And The breath we're about to explore is called Chandra Bedhana, and it translates into moon-piercing breath. And there's two different ways we can explore it, and I'll show you both of those. So sitting in any way that feels supportive to your body, anything that allows you to have a tall spine. And the reason why we sit with a tall spine when we practice pranayama, breathwork, is to allow our lungs and our diaphragm lots of room to expand and stretch and open, compared to if we are collapsed forward. It shortens that space that our diaphragm and our lungs are able to utilize. So whatever shape allows you to sit up nice and tall and create space in your body. And you might place a blanket underneath your hips or a bolster or anything else that maybe gives you a little bit of height. That can be helpful too. So taking a moment to set up however you would like to set up. And when you feel settled, we will just begin by noticing our breath moving in and out. You don't have to force your breath to change. You can simply breathe with ease. Watching your inhales as they flow in, and your exhales as they flow out. Two or three more rounds of breath here, just watching. If at any point you notice your spine starting to compress and shorten, just simply return to spaciousness. Something that feels buoyant and gentle rather than forced. And you might decide to stay right here for the remainder of our pranayama time, simply watching your breath move in and out. And this is a good place to be. Or if you'd like to explore Chandra Bedhana with me, I invite you to take one hand. I'm going to use my right hand because I'm right hand dominant, but you can use either one. And option one is to take your index and your middle finger and draw them toward your palm. And that's going to cause your ring finger and your pinky finger to curl in, and that's okay. They don't have to be upright. So maybe even extending the ring finger and pinky finger just straight out as your first two fingers curl in and your thumb is extended out. Now this is a mudra, it's a hand positioning that is helpful in these alternate nostril breathing techniques that we're about to explore. However, if this is too distracting and literally just unhelpful in the moment, you can release it. You don't have to explore this mudra today. You can release it, okay? If you choose to work with this mudra, you would bring your hand toward your nose, toward your face. And it's when we come into this alternate breathing technique, whether you are working with the mudra or not, it's still going to be the same action with your hands. So we'll breathe in together and exhale with ease. And as you get ready to breathe in, close off your right nostril. As you breathe out, close off your left and exhale through the right nostril. And repeat. Close off the right, inhale, left. Exhale, right. And continue in this pattern for at least 12 rounds of breath or more. However, you can release this breath at any time. If you do not want to explore that alternate nostril breathing technique, you can simply close off your right nostril and just breathe in and out through your left, just like this. So you have 3 choices here. You can simply watch your natural breath move in and out. That's the first choice. The second choice is to inhale through your left nostril, exhale through your right nostril, continuing this pattern. The third choice is to simply close off your right nostril and breathe in and out through your left nostril. And I welcome you to be here for 10 more rounds of breath. So 10 inhales and 10 exhales, taking your time. This doesn't have to be a rush. It can be as slow and as easeful as you'd like to. If at any time this alternate nostril breathing does not feel safe or supportive to you, you can release it at any moment. Last 1 or 2 rounds of breath. And you'll finish on an exhale wherever you're at. And after your last exhale, if your right hand is at your face, you might release it, resting it on your lap. And as you breathe in and out naturally, taking a few moments to observe any effects of this breath practice. How do you feel in your body? One more round of breath here. And then if you'd like to, you might drop the chin down toward the chest, perhaps staying at center, or you might even rock the head from side to side, finding a little bit of movement in your neck. And when you feel complete, I'll meet you back at center with the head lifted, and we'll start to move into our time of rest. And I'm going to propose that we take our legs up the wall today. However, you can take any resting shape that feels welcome to your body. You could stay right here in the seated shape. You could explore lying on your back or even on your abdomen. And you might even take a supported shavasana, supported rest shape, rest time, with if a chair or a couch or a coffee table is nearby. You could even lie on your back and just drape your legs over that chair or couch, whatever it is. And if you'd like to take your legs up the wall with me today, you could scooch one hip close to a wall. I like to have a blanket underneath me or a mat just for comfort. And then you could start to ease back onto your elbows, onto your back. And your glutes don't necessarily have to be touching the wall, but it might feel welcome to have your hips and your glutes close to the wall. And this taking the legs up the wall shape is very down regulating to your nervous system, as well as wonderful for your immune system, your lymphatic system as well. So wherever you're at, you might take a moment to arrive there, settling in, using any props that you prefer in this time of rest. And I'll be quiet now for the remainder of our resting time. And we'll be here for the next 2 or 3 minutes. And I'll keep track of time. And I'll let you know when that time is complete. And just know that even though I am quiet, I am still here with you, holding space. you might decide to stay here a little bit longer in this rest time. And you can choose to stay here and rest as long as you like. There is no rush. And if you are ready to add movement back into your body and leave this rest time, then you might begin to add some movement back in. And if your legs are up the wall, you might bring your knees in a little bit closer to the chest, resting the feet on the wall, pausing for a moment. And then in your own time, you could roll over to one side, pausing for one breath here in the fetal position. And then I'll meet you in any seated shape. And if you'd like, you could meet me with your hands at heart center. Bringing your intention to the front of your mind, the front of your heart. I am free to I invite you to take one collective breath with me, starting by exhaling the air out. And we'll breathe in together. Thank you for practicing with me today. I hope that you feel safe, connected, and at home in your body. Thank you.